I'm about to attempt something that might be one of the worst ideas I've ever had. Good morning, campers. I am just leaving the Bald Mountain lean-to where I tented for the night. I have to watch my step because it's wet. It poured rain yesterday for about an hour. About 20 minutes of it was really intense, like monsoon intense, not wind, just torrential rain. Crossing a little gravel road here. So I was tenting. I got in real early. I got in, I don't know, 1:30 or something. I was like, I'm done. I am not pushing over Moxie Bald Mountain because I knew it was supposed to rain anytime between 2 and 4. The forecast had changed. It had said 2 o'clock the day before. Then it said 4 o'clock yesterday morning. But it said, it's very kind of cagey how the AT weather phrases it. It said showers and thunderstorms likely mainly after 4 p.m. or showers likely with thunderstorms mainly after 4 p.m. Words to that effect. So it makes it sound like it's not going to start till 4 p.m. It doesn't say that. It says mainly after 4 p.m. So it could start anytime. So I knew at 1:30, I'm not pushing over Moxie Bald Mountain. That's a 4-mile push up and over the mountain, which is where I'm headed right now. So I'm calling it quits here, and I'm glad I did because about 2:30, that's when the skies opened up and it poured. I had set up my tent because it was kind of buggy, and I thought, well, even if it rains, once the rain stops, the bugs will come out again, and I just want some protection from the bugs. And I also didn't know how many people would be in the shelter. It was one of those old style shelters, kind of dark and dingy, and there wasn't even a broom to sweep it up. And I was like, I'll set up my tent. So I set up my tent. When it started raining, I ran over to the tent. It wasn't raining hard yet. Ran over, closed the doors because I had left the doors open for ventilation to let the breeze blow through. Closed up the tent, ran back to the shelter, waited out the storm. Once the storm was done, went back, checked on the shelter. It was dry inside, but a lot of rain splatter from the ground. That's the problem with tenting on a dirt pad. The dirt splashes back. You get mud splashing back up onto your tent and onto the mesh. So my tent's kind of messy right now. I'll have to set it up when I get to camp tonight to dry it out. It's supposed to be a nice day, so it should dry out. In any event, I'm headed to the Horseshoe Canyon shelter. That is a 13-mile hike. And at the 4.1 mile mark is the Moxie Bald Mountain lean-to. So that's right after I go up and over Moxie Bald Mountain. It's about 2 miles up the mountain and then 2 miles down the mountain. So I'll take my first break of the day there. It's a good point. 4-mile mark is a good place to take my first break. And then it's all pretty much flat or downhill for the rest of the day. So it should be relatively easy hiking after I get over the mountain. I don't like climbing a mountain first thing in the morning because I don't like to get all sweaty and huffing and puffing. But I don't think I'll get sweaty. It's pretty chilly right now, surprisingly so. I had goosebumps this morning getting ready. So anyway, that's the plan. 13 miles, 4.1 miles to get up and over the Moxie Bald Mountain. Take my break at the Moxie Bald Mountain shelter, and then push on the final 9 miles or so to the Horseshoe Canyon lean-to. Stay there for the night, and then tomorrow I push into Monson and check into Shaw's Hostel for 2 nights. Looking forward to that. Wow, This says I've already come 1.6 miles in 45 minutes uphill. I don't know if I buy that, but I'll take it. I just don't think it's accurate. But I guess we'll see. If that's true, I have less than 2.5 miles to the shelter. Of course, I have to get up and over the mountain first. My only fear is that the rocks on the other side will be wet. It'll be slow going and a little treacherous, but I could be wrong. I don't know what the terrain is like. We'll see. Yeah, 1.8 miles to the lean-to, but what is this? This random rusted out stuff. Look at that. Is that a ham? A Denmark ham? Plum rose? Is that what that is? Yeah, I think it's like a old version of Spam or something. That's freaky. Back in the day, somebody schlepped that up here, ate it, and then left it behind. Thanks a lot, whoever that was. Probably decades ago. Horseshoe Canyon lean-to is 8.9 miles. That's where I'm headed next. Just leaving the Moxie Ball Mountain lean-to, where I stopped, had a snack, and got some more water. I didn't have much water when I left this morning. I left with only about a liter because I didn't like the water source there. And it was chilly this morning, and I just wanted to get going. Now I've got 1.5 liters to last me the next 9 miles. But the next 9 miles are pretty easy. No elevation changes of note. It's an overall elevation drop slightly of a couple hundred feet. It'll be imperceptible. So it'll be mostly level or gently rolling stuff. The only thing that'll slow me down is roots and rocks. And there's a lot of that on the Appalachian Trail. It's the Appalachian obstacle course is what it is. It's not a trail at all. It's just a long stream of rocks and roots meant to trip you up. And trip you up it will. Well, I've only been hiking for about a half an hour since I left the last shelter after having my snack, and I have to say it's been pretty easy hiking. All in all, I'm pleasantly surprised. It's pine needles and some roots and a little bit of up and down. You still have to watch where you're going, but it's not like an obstacle course like it's been. I don't know how long this stretch will last, but right now I'm enjoying it. Well, my worst fears, not worst fears, but one of my fears is potentially about to be realized. I just passed some Sobo hikers, 4 of them. They said there's some muck coming up. I was like thinking, oh, it's just a little muddy section. They said, no, it's like water's up to your thigh and the mud's up to your shin underneath the water. I'm like, oh no. So I just crossed, before that I crossed a river that said you'd have to ford it, especially when it's been wet. And it hasn't been that wet. We had that big rain yesterday, but it's been dry otherwise. So that was easy, just stepping across rocks. So I'm not looking forward to whatever's up ahead. I may see if there's a way to circumnavigate it, but I'm assuming there's not, since they probably would have told me if there was. So let's see what's lying ahead, waiting for me up there. Well, looking at the trail right now, it's hard to believe I'm going to be crossing a mucky, boggy creek in the next 15 minutes or so. The last couple who I just passed said it wasn't too bad, but you know, you are going to get wet and muddy, and then you'll have to rinse off at a later water source. So I'll probably take my break right there, since I'll have to stop and take off my socks and stuff. I don't have water crossing shoes. I don't have camp shoes. So my shoes will just get wet and muddy, and I'll have to rinse them off later. I'll cross without any socks on, and when I get to a clean water source, I'll rinse everything off good. My legs, my shoes, and put everything back on. Then it's only 3.5 miles to the shelter. I'm about to attempt something that might be one of the worst ideas I've ever had, or one of the best. There's a crossing up ahead that's mud. It's mud up to almost your knees, and the water's up to mid-thigh from what I've heard, which means my shoes will get completely filled with mud and wet. Obviously, I'll take off my socks and everything, roll up my, take my pant legs off, roll up my pants as high as they'll go. But then as I was walking along, I thought, boy, you're looking down that creek and you can't see it from here. It looks really easy to cross. There's lots of rocks. It's easy to cross the creek, but then the creek turns into a bog, and that's where they take you across, is the bog. So I thought, wonder if I can bushwhack down this hill, cross the creek, get to the other side, and then bushwhack through the woods back to the trail and bypass the boggy section. So let me show you what I'm thinking of doing. So here's the trail where I just came down, and here's the trail, and it leads off that way. And in about 150, 200 yards is where it starts to get muddy and boggy. It turns down the hill. So I thought, you know what? I can hear the river. You can't quite see it down there. But if I go down this hillside, if I bushwhack my way down, cross that river on rocks, get to the other side, hopefully it's dry, and I can bushwhack my way through the woods. I don't know if the woods on that side are like this side, but it's not too bad. It's tricky, but it's doable. The problem is, what if I get down there, cross the river, the creek, and it's just a muddy, boggy mess on the other side, and there's no way for me to get into the woods on the other side? Then I'm in a pickle, because then I'll just have to come all the way back up here again. So, but I'm gonna be kicking myself if I don't try this. I don't know why. I feel compelled to try this just to see if it will work or not. So it's either the best idea I've ever had or the worst idea I've ever had. We're about to find out. Okay, I just made it down this hillside, down here, where it's relatively flat and walkable. You can see the water from here. You can probably hear it. I just have to get over there. There's lots of down trees and branches sticking out. I don't want to get poked in the eye or something. So, almost to the river, or creek, whatever it is. So you can see it right there through the trees. So there's the creek. So if I can get down there, cross that, and get up the other side without getting wet and muddy, and get through the woods on the other side, I'll just head down that way and meet up with the Appalachian Trail again. All right, let's see if I can do it. Well, as you can see, I'm in the middle of the creek now. I came down through there, I crossed that log, and came across here, these stones. So that's where I'm standing right now. So the creek keeps going, but then it turns into a big muddy bog. So I just got to get across, find a place to bushwhack through that undergrowth, and get into the trees up there, and then bushwhack back to the trail. Okay, I've made it into the woods. On the other side, it looks about the same as the other side. So this is going to be slow going. I'll just have to pick my way through this stuff, heading toward the trail the whole time, of course. And eventually meet up with the trail again using my GPS. But so far, so good. It could be about 150, 200 yards or so of bushwhacking. So I'm going to take my time, kind of pick through this stuff so I don't trip or get stabbed by a branch. But so far it's going okay. Didn't take as long as I thought it would to get to this point, but it might take a while for me to get back to the trail here unless I can find a clear path. So I'm going to go work on that right now. Well, what do you know? I found an old logging road, it looks like. And this is the direction I need to go. So if I just walk down this way, I'm wondering if this will intersect with the trail. Even if it doesn't, it's going to get me pretty close, I think. Unless it veers off in a weird direction or something. But so far, this is working out even better than I'd hoped. Because now I have a clear path, a relatively clear path. So I'll check back in once I locate the trail again. Wow, look at this. It's like practically leading me to the trail. Can you believe this? This isn't even on the map. It's not in Guthook. I can't see this little road on the map. So, just a dumb stroke of luck that I found this. I'm going to follow it down. Not more than another 100 yards, then I'll check how close I am to the trail. Okay, I came out at the river farther downstream, so now I just have to cross it again, apparently, and do the same thing on the other side, bushwhack, until I get back to the trail, which doesn't look too far on the map. So I'm going to find a way across here without getting too wet. Well, looky what I just found. The Appalachian Trail. Completely bypassed that waist-high, muddy, leachy, smelly, nasty water. Wasn't fun. Wouldn't have tried it without a GPS, and I'm sweating right now because I had to put my pant legs on because I was bushwhacking through a lot of underbrush and stuff. But not too bad. Doable. Not fun, but I'm glad I tried it. So I just proved it could be done. So now I can sleep well tonight, not laying there wondering, God, I wonder what would have happened. What would have happened if I tried bushwhacking around that section? Now I know. Okay, while engineering a better solution to this crossing here, see that stone with a flat top on it? I added that to the creek to give yourself an extra step. But then there's this big step between those two stones. That was a big one. I had to use my trekking poles to kind of vault my way over. That was pretty dicey, but I did it. And in the process, I did my right shoe, got some water, it gushed over the top of it. But that was because I was trying to help everyone else by putting a stone where there should have been a stone. But now I'm not sure if I'm on the trail, so I'm going to have to check my... Oh yeah, I see a blaze. There's a blaze up there. Okay. Well, so far so good, although I did get my right shoe a little wet, so that's a little disappointing. I was trying to keep everything clean and dry, but hey, oh, I see where they want you to go. So the trail goes down here, where there's like no rocks. They just want you to get wet for no reason. So, in any event, okay, well, I solved that solution, or I solved that problem. So this is their idea of a water source. A PVC pipe that's just laying to capture some water. They're just, I don't know, just weeping out of the ground, I guess. In this mud pit down here. I'm trying to capture as much as I can. My bag's going to be just soaked, or just filled with mud. This is not a good water source. And there's a raging river down below. I don't know why I don't just go down to the river. I don't know if there's even a way to get down to the river.